Okay, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar on PIC Circular under the Rotterdam Convention. My name is Javier Bonilla, and I support the Rotterdam Convention Secretariat with technical assistance, updating database, and today I will moderate this webinar. Now I'm seeing that we have participants from different regions. I'm seeing here Latin America, Caribbean, Asia, Africa, Europe, and Near East. So thank you so much for accepting our request and dedicating your time to participate in this activity. And now will we proceed? Next, please. Okay, so 1 hour and 15 minutes will be dedicated to this webinar. And we will start by receiving a presentation on the PIC circular and its structure by my colleague Suman Charma, Program Officer of UNEP, and Alexander Michalowski, Agricultural Officer of FAO. And later we will briefly explore the Rotterdam Convention website to see where we can find the PIC circular and the Rotterdam Convention databases. And after the trigger from those presentations, we will have a poll or survey to start our Q&A section. And you can also leave your comments here in the chat box. Okay, so next, please. So before we receive our presentations, let me say that the PIC circular is elaborated by the Rotterdam Convention Secretariat that has one part of the team in FAO, Rome, and on other part of the team is in UNEP, Geneva. So now I will give the floor to my colleague Suman that will give us an introduction to the PIC circular. So Suman, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. Uh, welcome, colleagues from all around the world. It is maybe afternoon for Africa and the close from here in Europe, and maybe it's late evening in Asia, and maybe it's early morning in Latin America region. So, very good morning, very good afternoon, and very good evening. As Javier already introduced that, my name is Suman Sharma, and I work for the UNEP, and my work, one of the important work is related with publication of PIC circular. And this PIC circular that as you may have received because we wanted to have this with the DNAs, so the invitation must have been sent to all the DNAs and probably those who are attending this webinar are DNAs. So I do not need to redo it. That it is a document that is published every 6 months in June and December every year. And to be precise, 12th of June and 12th of December, actually, every year we have been publishing it for several years now. And then it is published in languages also, not only in English, but also in French and Spanish languages. And it is distributed throughout through the DNAs to the parties, all the parties. And it is distributed as email attachment that goes as a mail out as an attachment, and it also is published on the same time and same day in our convention's website. So whoever goes to convention website, they can also see it there and download it from there. Besides this, we also send it through wafer card. You can see the picture here. In the right hand side is the picture of a wafer card. So it is kind of pen drive in which you receive the PIC circular on every publication. Next slide, please. So The content of our presentation is to present the PIC circular. That was the idea, because we thought, it is good idea, as we've been sending, we've been publishing, we've been circulating these PIC circulars, which are the main engine of implementation of the Rotterdam Convention. But we thought, maybe how many of us, how many of you do really read the PIC circular or share it with colleagues. So maybe, many a times it might happen that people do not know what uh, great information are available in the PIC circular. So it is a good idea just to have a small 1 hour, half an hour webinar, just to go through this, so that it will, raise interest, it arouse interest on the participants, on the DNAs, so that they can make best use of it and can check if the information that they sent as a DNA on final regulatory notification or the import responses, whether or not they are there in the website, sorry, in the PIC circular. So this is we thought is very important. So we took time to do this webinar, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. This is what we will be doing. I will just introduce what the PIC circular is, and then I will hand it over to my colleague Alec, who will go through all the appendices. We have 6 appendix in the PIC circular, so he'll go through them in detail length, and then we will after that we will do the database. Javier will go through the database and will show you in the website where these things are, and the big DMA database, where you can online submit import responses, FRAs. So that he will cover, and then we will conclude with what we send along with the PIC circular every 6 months. Uh, uh, this is the you can see in the right hand side, this is how the content, this is how it looks, the PIC circular. This is from the PIC circular 60, and in the left side, this is about the what we are going to present now. Next slide, please. The PIC circular is the after the table of content, the very first page is like this, the introduction page, where you have three type of information. One is the purpose of PIC circular, why we publish PIC circular every 6 months, and the second is about how the Rotterdam Convention is being implemented through PIC circular. What informations are there? So this, in this introduction part is like 5 pages, 5 pages, I think. And out of these 5 pages, the first page is on the purpose, and the second and the first page we also start with the implementation with the, DNA, with notification FRA. So these information are there. How, what is FRA, and what is the situation of DNA, have the countries nominated DNA, if that they have nominated the DNA, where that information is available. So that kind of thing is here in this introduction part. And you can just look at the left hand side, the proposal of listing of SSPF. These are also in the annexes. So in the append, when uh, Alec will make the presentation. He will go through these. And there is additional information on the third part of the introduction, which uh, which accounts for the how many parties are there, and what documents are relevant for the implementation of convention, and what are the tools available. So this is what we will have. So let me quickly just go through these three things: purpose of PIC circular, the implementation, and the additional information. Next slide, please. So the purpose of PIC circular, as I said in the beginning, is the key implementation document of the Rotterdam Convention. Rotterdam Convention is about the exchange of information. It is about, the prior informed consent procedure of parties, whether or not the recipient parties. It is about the international trade on chemicals and seeking the consent of the importer whether or not they want to import that chemical in their country. So that's all about it. So this in where does this information available? This information is available in the PIC circular. So that's the if a party has any response on whether or not they want to receive or any chemical sent from that country, it will be here if the country has given their consent in advance. That's why we call pre-informed consent. It's the information is given early enough so that the exporter can make the decision whether or not to send this chemical to the importing country. So this is about the key implementation document. And there are this has essentially two segments. One is operational circular, as I just explained, and another is the information exchange on hazardous chemical. Through this, parties get the information on when what chemicals are listed and when the decision guidance document was dispatched to them, and based on that they can make their import decisions. So this information are all contained in the appendix part, sorry, the introduction part. The next slide, please. So that was the purpose, and this is about the implementation. So if you go, from circular way, from clockwise, you will see, this document, the PIC circle contains all the information like DNAs, for example. With the PIC circular, we always send a document on designated national authorities for pesticide or for industrial chemical. So this is the person. These are the focal point in the located in the country party who will share this information to other stakeholders, those relevant with the international trade on chemicals. So DNAs are very important, and this information is here. And FRAs and severely hazardous pesticide formulation proposals to list in the convention is here. The information is available here. So this is how the convention is implemented. And the import responses from the parties are here. And the uh, parties are requested every year to provide information on the export and export notifications questionnaire. And that information is also here. It's summarized, that information in the PIC circular. And also on the information to accompany with the exported chemicals. That information is also provided in the introduction part. So that information is here. And also on the Article 14, information on chemicals recommended for listing, what the CRC decided, what CRC recommended. This information is also, available here, and those which have been recommended but not, still made decision are here also. So this is, in a way, all the information that is needed to implement as Rotterdam Convention are all summarized in very succinct manner in the introduction, and the details on each of the information on, for example, on FRAs, on the import responses are in the appendix, which my colleague Alexander will present. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the additional information is, as I said in the beginning, this in the introduction part at the I think on the fifth page and the last page, it also mentions about how many parties are there by the time the PIC circular is issued, and how many and what is the where you can find the text of the convention. The links are given, all the decision guidance document of all the listed chemicals in Annex 3 are there is a link given, so you can click there and go into each of these documents. There are the forms and instruction on how to complete the import responses, how to complete the FRA notification, how to prepare the SSPF proposals, questionnaire on export and export notifications, all these information, and notification on the national um, authorities, designation of contact, all these things, where to get this information are all listed there, and the links are given. So this is yeah, another important information, and all past peak circulars are listed there. I mean, the link is given there from where you could reach out to all the PIC circulars, and all the the link of DNAs, designated national authorities to the Rotterdam Convention. There's a link here also in the PIC circular, so you can click there and you reach into there, and you have a resource kit of information on Rotterdam Convention. So these informations are there, and also collection of publication containing information on Rotterdam Convention is there to assist awareness raising, what materials, what facilitating activities are happening and where they can be found. All this information is provided in there. Uh, I think I am done. Can you do the next slide, please? Okay, thank you very much. And with this, I would like to invite Alec, who will make presentations on the appendix. Over to you, Javier. Thank you.
Thank you, Suman, for this introduction. And I would like also to welcome all the DNAs to this webinar. As Suman rightfully mentioned, I will basically deal with all the 6 appendices that are part of the PIC circular. As you can see, this slide provides an overview listing of all those 6 appendices which are added or actually a part of each of the PIC circular. Suman mentioned there is the short introductory part composed of 3 elements, namely the purpose of the PIC circular, the implementation element, and the additional information, which provides detailed explanation on the key implementation elements that parties need to fulfill in order to successfully put into practice the convention at national level. What follows in the PIC circular structure and its content is basically these 6 appendices. They're actually linked to the main provisions important for the functioning and the implementation of the convention. And we already mentioned those are basically the information exchange and the PIC procedure for the Annex 3 listed chemicals. Each of the appendices provides detailed insight and updates into the latest developments and changes with regards to the fulfillment of the obligation of the parties in relation to the main provisions of the convention, namely Articles 5, Article 6, and Article 10. That means that basically whatever changed and whichever information the Secretariat has received in the last 6 months prior from the publication of the previous PIC circular goes into these pages in the appendices, starting from the Appendix 1 with information on the newly received FRA notifications. And then finishing with Appendix 6, which contain information related to information exchange provisions for chemicals recommended for listing but not yet listed under the convention. So I will go into after this short introduction on what you can expect. I will go into detail on all those 6 appendices that are part of the PIC circular. So basically, first one is Appendix 1. The Appendix 1 contains a compilation of all the notifications of final regulatory action to ban or severely restrict chemicals received by the Secretariat since the publication of the previous PIC circular. This is linked to Article 5 provisions of the convention text, which basically implies that whenever a party is banning or severely restricting a chemical at national level with a final regulatory action, is mandated or is obliged to notify the Secretariat for such an action. And for this, the Secretariat has developed so-called FRA notification form, which is facilitating the transmission of this information in line, and this notification form has been basically created in line or is fully resembling the requirements of Annex 1, information requirements of Annex 1. And then the other linkage of this Appendix 1 in light of the obligations under the Convention is Article 14 on information exchange, namely paragraphs 1, A, B, and C, and paragraph 3A of the Convention text. Here there is a link that can that basically leads to the website or web page where you can find the databases of those specifically transmitted FRA notifications. And later on, my Javier will go into detail about this information at the web page. In terms of Appendix 1, there is a nuance here. There are three parts. It's divided into 3 parts. The first part A provides summaries of the notifications verified as complete meeting Annex 1 information requirements. Part B provides a list of notifications that have been verified not meeting Annex 1 information requirements, and Part C basically lists those notifications that are still under verification. In terms of the database that I previously mentioned, this is just a screenshot from the web page on the databases on FRAs. And here I'm drawing your attention to basically the first tab, recently issued notifications, which is basically all the notifications. In this case, we have 40 notifications published in the PIC Circular 60, based on the submissions by the notifying parties. As you can see, we have here in the last publication, we have published and received 14 notifications that we have verified as meeting Annex 1 information requirements. Namely, we have 5 notifications from EU, 2 from Brazil, and 1 each from Ecuador, Costa Rica, Venezuela, Thailand, Montenegro, Cameroon, and Morocco. 13 are in the pesticide category, and 1 in industrial chemicals category. So if you go over the chemical common name, there is a clickable link which will provide you the summary of the synopsis of the notification that was submitted to the Secretariat. And that is basically the information that is the screenshot of the PIC circular page providing one notification, in this case, the Brazilian notification, and the way the information on methylparathion and the way the information or the summary of the notification is presented is basically fully mirroring or resembling the notification form, which the party used to notify the Secretariat, and through the PIC circular, basically the rest of the world and the parties on its final regulatory action to ban or to restrict, in this case, methylparathion. So the summary briefly describes the scope of the action, the category to which it belongs, whether the chemical is banned or severely restricted, the summary of the final regulatory action with potentially a reference that was submitted in the notification, and then it includes information on the reasons for the final regulatory action, whether it is due to human health or environmental concerns or both. and in the same time provide a summary of those hazards related both to the environment or to the human health, which was basically in this case part of the risk evaluation carried out by the party prior undertaking the FRA, the final regulatory act to ban methylprednisolone, talking about Brazil. And there is a part which basically resembles what's the expected effect of the FRA in terms of human health or environment. And since recently, we have also started to provide information on alternatives if that information is provided in the notification form. Of course, the notification form has other information itself, like information on properties in terms of physical-chemical properties or toxicological properties or ecotoxicological properties of the chemical in question. However, for the purpose of practicality and we are not providing that information in the synopsis of the PIC circular, but however, that information is inserted in the database, so-called PIC DMA database that we are operating, which is basically part of the clearinghouse mechanism helping us to produce the PIC circular and also to fit the data and the system on the website with the information. And that information is resembled in other part of the website, which contains information on the so-called FRA evaluation toolkit. So countries can basically visit this part of the website and get the information on also on the properties of the chemical if they look for this particular notification, for example, from Brazil and methylprednisolone. They can find there this information as well. So this was a bit more detailed information on what actually entails this synopsis of each of the FRA notifications that we are publishing in the PIC circular or the summary in line with verified from the Secretariat side that have met the information requirements of Annex 1. And this is very important because those notifications, of course, you may already know, those notifications that are meeting Annex 1 information requirements are being qualified to be potentially forwarded to chemical review committee for its consideration if there is a notification from another PIC region for the same chemical also meeting Annex 1 information requirements. With this explanation, allow me to continue also to Appendix 1 Part B, which basically is part of the PIC circular that contains or basically simply lists the notifications that have been verified not meeting Annex 1 information requirements. You can see here the last PIC circular. We have a group of notifications submitted by China that have been verified, and including one notification from EU that have been verified as not meeting Annex 1 information requirements. And this information is basically summarized in the table in the PIC circular as seen in the screen. It's important to be underlined that yeah, we always trying to when carrying out technical assistance activities, provide information that it's important the information to be provided in line with the Annex 1 information requirements. But if that's not possible because sometimes certain information is lacking, is still very important the notification form or the notification to be submitted and the Secretariat to be informed that an action at national level to ban or restrict certain chemical has been undertaken. So even though, what I want to say is, even though potentially a notification would not meet Annex 1 information requirements as verified by the Secretariat, the purpose of the Convention Article 5 to share information and to exchange information on those final regulatory actions undertaken at national level to ban or to restrict a chemical is basically met or fulfilled. So therefore, this is also again an invitation parties to continue to fulfill this obligation, despite the fact that sometimes it's not possible in the notification to fully meet information requirements of Annex 1. And then, of course, there is Part C of the Appendix 1, which lists all the notifications that have been received, but they're still under verification. Sometimes we have late submissions by the parties. Sometimes certain clarifications are needed on behalf of the party as requested by the Secretariat. We have 6 months provisional period to verify the information. And sometimes when the Secretariat, due to certain legitimate reasons was not able to verify the notification, is publishing that information in Part C with the intention basically to publish them in the following edition or the following volume of the PIC circular, either in Part A or in Part B of Appendix 1, depending whether the notifications will meet or not meet Annex 1 information requirements. After Appendix 1, we have Appendix 2. Appendix 1 was linked to Article 5 and the obligation to submit notifications of FRAs for ban or restricted chemicals. Appendix 2 is directly linked to Article 6 related to procedures for severely hazardous pesticide formulations. Appendix 2 contains a compilation of the proposals concerning severely hazardous pesticide formulations received by the Secretariat since the publication of the previous PIC circular. The submissions of these proposals is done in accordance with Annex 4, Part 1. And under Article 6, basically any party that is developing party or party with economy in transition that is potentially experiencing problems caused by severely hazardous pesticide formulations, either due to human health or environmental problems in their territory, they may make a proposal to the Secretariat for the inclusion of the formulation into Annex 3. And the proposal always must contain the information that is specified in Part 1 of Annex 4 of the Convention text and be submitted to the Secretariat with the specific transmittal form. There are 2 parts, which is basically resembling Annex 4 Part 1. Also, Appendix 2 is divided into 2 parts. Part A, which provides summary of the proposals verified as complete against the information requirements of Annex 4, Part 1, and Part B, those that are still under verification by the Secretariat. For the current active edition of the PIC circular number 60, there were no proposals submitted, so therefore there is no information provided here. I'm just providing one example. On Appendix 2, Part A, which basically contains the last proposal published in PIC Circular 52 from Laos, People's Democratic Republic, that were submitted in line with Annex 4, Part 1. And here you have the example of sapermethrin 10% emulsifier gold concentrate. So the information provided in the PIC circular in this case is fully resembling the transmittal form related to the human health incident Part A that was submitted by the DNA of the party. And in this way, you can see which parties were experiencing poisoning incidents concerning human health in the last 6 months from the publication of the last PIC circular. Then after Appendix 2 follows Appendix 3. Appendix 3 is basically Annex 3, which contains the list of the chemicals included in Annex 3 of the Convention, subject to the PIC procedure. is directly linked to Article 7, which basically implies that when there is a decision undertaken to list the chemical into Annex 3, the related decision guidance document, which was approved, is approved by the conferences of the parties. The Secretariat is communicating this information to all the parties after each COP, usually in the period September-October, allowing 9-month period for the party to submit the input response for the newly added chemical. The last chemical added at COP11 was Terbukos, and the upcoming, that was basically the chemical number 55 listed into the Annex 3, making the number of pesticides 36, including 18 industrial chemicals and 1 chemical in both categories. We have 55 chemicals in total in Annex 3, expecting 56 submissions of input responses by the parties in line with the provisions of Article 10. Here I'm also sharing information in the screen that the upcoming COP12, which is scheduled to take place between 28th of April and 9th of May, Geneva, in 2 weeks' time, basically, we'll consider 4 new chemicals recommended for listing to be considered for the first time. Those are methyl bromide, chlorpyrifos, paraquat, and mercury. And there are 6 chemicals that have been deferred from previous COPs, for which COP was not able to reach consensus for listing. Those deferred chemicals are basically acetochlor, carbosulfan, iprodium, phenthyiane, paraquat dichloride, and vegetable asbestos. So that means 10 chemicals in total will be at the agenda of COP 12. So that means potentially the Annex 3 from 55 chemicals can grow to 65 in case there is a consensus for listing by the conferences of the parties. So all these 55 chemicals are available in Appendix 3 of the PIC circular, containing the basic information on the chemical name, the relevant class number, the relevant category, and date of the first dispatch of the decision guidance document. As I said, parties after this date, they have 9 months to submit input response in line with Article 10. So this leads me to the content and the scope of the information available in Appendix 4, which contains information compiling all the input responses for Annex 3 illicit chemicals received from the parties. The first part of Appendix 4 basically contains the link to the online database. I will not spend too much time here. Javier will run you through the web page where this information is available. In terms of Appendix 4 and the input responses, this is linked to the obligations of the parties to submit input responses in line with Article 10 on behalf of the importing parties, and is linked, of course, to Article 11, which is related to the obligations for the parties to potentially export chemicals listed in Annex 3 in line with the decisions undertaken by the importing parties as per Article 10. Just a short reminder, the import decisions can be, as you may already know, final or interim. In both cases, they can be consent to import, no consent to import, or consent to import under specified conditions. Exporting parties have to comply with import decisions no later than 6 months after the date in which the Secretariat first informs the parties of the importing decision by the importing party. and also important for all parties is that the Secretariat will also inform the parties of failure to provide an input decision at the expiration of the 9 months from the date of the dispatch of the decision guidance document. You can see here exactly what we present in the Appendix 4 in terms of newly submitted import responses. Basically, Appendix 4S showcased here in the screen. In the circular document itself is solely listing the newly submitted import responses from the parties since the publication of the last PIC circular. In the case of the current edition, everything submitted, which means PIC circular 60, everything submitted to the Secretariat after PIC 59, or everything submitted between 1st of May and 31st of October 2024 was published here. Yeah, allow me to continue now with the next slide, which is basically the information available in the web page via clickable link available also in the PIC circular, where you can see the recently transmitted input responses by the parties. And here the information is a bit more fully providing the information necessary for the parties to be able to potentially trade or not trade those chemicals listed into the Annex 3 based on the importing decisions submitted by the importing parties. Because here you have the chemical name via clickable link where you can see the administrative or the legal act upon which the decision has been based, the category, the party submitting the import response, whether it is a final or an interim, and the decision itself in terms of no consent to import, consent to import, or potentially consent to import only subject to specified conditions. Just to remind you that it's of crucial importance for the PIC procedure because this provides information to the DNAs that can further share this information with the customs authorities, as well to the importing and exporting entities in the respective parties, because this is responsibility of also for on their behalf to fully respect the decisions of the importing parties when we're talking from the perspective of an exporting party potentially exporting an Annex 3 illicit chemicals into the importing parties based on their respective decisions. Important for Appendix 4, which is information available now in the website, is basically the cases of failure to submit import responses. I already said that this information is available via clickable link in the website. There is the fourth tab of this web page created specifically for the databases of the input responses, where you can get the information on the chemicals for which parties have yet to transmit input response to the Secretariat. After Appendix 4, let's continue to Appendix 5, which basically contains a tabular summary of notifications of FRAs for banned or severely restricted chemicals, which have not been included into Annex 3 and have been received by the Secretariat since 1998, basically since the convention was signed. This is directly linked to Article 5. Again, is divided into two parts. The first part, A, basically contains the information on all the notifications that have been submitted historically to the Secretariat and have been verified as meeting Annex 1, but not yet listed into Annex 3. The tabular summary basically lists the chemical name, the cast number, the notifying party, the category, the PIC region from where the party originates, and the PIC circular where initially the submitted notification was published. Information on the scope of the regulatory actions may be found in the PIC circular, in the link that is provided in the PIC circular itself. Here it's important to be underlined that we are using this information here as a reference for matching notifications that have been verified as meeting Annex 1 coming from 2 different PIC regions, and later on these notifications are forwarded for consideration to the Chemical Review Committee for its consideration and for potential recommendation for listing into Annex 3 if, of course, Annex 2 criteria of the convention are met. Then part B is summarizing or is providing a summary of all the notifications that have been verified as not meeting Annex 1, and they're also not listed into the Annex 3 of the convention text. So you can also, for the information purposes, find this information also in this tabular summary of Appendix 5, Part B. The last appendix that is part of the PIC circular is Appendix 6. Basically, it has been developed to facilitate information exchange on chemicals that have been recommended for listing into Annex 3 of the Convention by the Chemical Review Committee, but for which the COP, Conference of the Parties, was not able to reach consensus on listing. This Appendix 6 has been created in line with the COP decisions that are available in the screen, namely RC33 and RC44 in relation to Prasetal asbestos, decision RC68 in relation to paraquat liquid formulations, decision 87 in line with pention formulations, carbosulfan decision 86, and acetochlor in line with decision 95 of the respective COP meeting. And basically, all these decisions, they have in common that in line with Article 14 on information exchange, that is encouraging parties to make use of all available information on the specific chemical to assist others, in particular developing countries and countries with economies in transition, to make informed decisions regarding the import and management of the particular chemical in questions, 5 in number in this case, and to make other parties informed and aware of those decisions using the information exchange provisions that are laid down in Article 14. So that's more or less the common text adopted by COP in all those specific decisions. That was the basis for the Secretariat to create Appendix 6. And there is a specific web page, dedicated web page on the chemicals recommended for listing. Here you can find those 5 chemicals for which there is a valid decision undertaken by COP. But you can see also the remaining 6 chemicals that will be considered at COP 12, for which there is not yet such a decision undertaken. In terms of Appendix 6, again, there are 2 parts. Part A, which contains information concerning management of the chemicals recommended for listing by CRC. namely management in terms of information available or submitted by the parties when they have notified the specific chemical, the information on the management and on the final regulatory act is available through a specific link available in the PIC circular part A. So far, we have received information only, or we have submitted information on acetochlor based on the submitted parties from European region, namely Bosnia, Herzegovina, and EU, and Africa SILS submitted parties. Then carbosulfan, again SILS and Europe. Pentation, we have information from Chad based on the SHPF proposal submitted by Chad. Paraquat formulations based on the Burkina Faso submission of the proposal, and classical asbestos from a group of parties that have shared information with the Secretariat. So this is part A, and the part B is in reality voluntary. Is an invitation for the parties to submit voluntary input decisions on those chemicals that have been recommended for listing. So far, we have received information only on classical asbestos from Canada and EU, and on paraquat formulations from Qatar and Nigeria. And yes, this information is fully resembling again the notification, the import responses form that usually the parties are submitting in line with Article 10. This is a voluntary submission and is again basically consent to import or no consent to import with the legal or administrative measure upon which the decision at the specific party for the specific chemical was undertaken. Basically, these scope decisions, you can see again here which parties have so far submitted import decisions voluntarily as per the COP decisions, as per the respective COP decisions, and we can, of course, conclude that these COP decisions, both in case of Part A and Part B, have been underutilized, considering the fact that we have very limited information and very few voluntary input decisions submitted by the parties. So I would like to use again this opportunity to invite parties actually to really take a closer look at these COP decisions and use this opportunity to share the information with the Secretariat, through which we can share the information with the rest of the parties through Appendix 6 of the PIC circular. With this, I would close my part of the presentation. I will stop sharing and invite Javier just to fast run you through the web page or website, which is in reality resembling all those databases that are part of the PIC circular and available in the PIC circular itself through functional clickable links. Thank you from my side for the time being. Javier, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Alec, for giving us this overview of the PIC circular that contain 6 appendices. And now we are gonna check the website to see where we can find this document and also which databases we have available. So I'm gonna share my screen now. Okay. Okay. So we go to Google firstly. We type Rotterdam Convention. And the first link is our website. Then we go to implementation. And then there is the link of the PIC circular, where we can find all the PIC circulars that have been posted since the convention entry into force. And the first row, we can find the last PIC circular that was posted in December 2024, English, French, and Spanish. And here also we have very interesting document about the DNA's contacts. So you can check which authorities belongs to each party of the convention. And then we have our databases. One is the final regulatory action notification database that we can find here under procedures. We go here, notification of final regulatory action, where we can have an overview of what is a final regulatory action and are the means which parties inform the Secretariat of the actions to ban or severely restrict a chemical for human health or and environment reasons. And if you go to this column, left column, there is the database. We can find here the recently issued. It means the last one that were posted in the last PIC circular. And if we click here in this eye, we can see a summary of the notification, the name of the chemical, and the CAS number, the date was published in the PIC circular, the date of entry into force, then the category if it's pesticide of industrial chemical, then the regulatory action was banned or severely restricted, if there was risk evaluation or not, then a summary of the final regulatory action, the reason it was, if it was because of human health, of environment, and we'll have more information here. And then the other column, you can check your country, and there is the all the parties that belongs to the Rotterdam Convention here. And then we have also the chemicals that belongs to Annex 3 or the chemicals that don't belong to Annex 3. This is one of the yes, most important databases we have. And the next one is again under procedures. We got here import responses. And to refresh our memory, the import responses are the decisions provided by parties indicated whether or not they will consent to import one of the chemicals listed in Annex 3. And again, if we go here to the left column, databases of import responses, we can find the database. The recently transmitted means, again, that were posted in the last PIC circular. And we can check here in this column the chemical name, the category, if it's a pesticide of industrial chemical, the party, then the response. If it's final decision, it means that have a decree or law that sustain that decision. If it's interim, it's in process to have this decision sustained by a law or decree. And this is the most important, the decision. If they consent to import, no consent to import, or consent under specific conditions. So if we click here, we can see the resolution or law decree that sustain that decision. And again, if we go to the next column, we can check also by country. You can type your country and check which import responses the country have submitted, also by chemical. And here, case of failure to submit import responses are the missing import responses. So you can check again which one are missing of the 56 import responses that have to be done. So this is for my side, and I'm gonna give the floor to Suman to finish the presentation. Thank you so much. Mhm.
Thank you, Javier. Okay, then Can Alec, can you please show the slides? Okay. No, no, further down. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Alec. So, we are almost at the end of our presentation on the peak circular. So this is how, in the right hand side, you'll see two documents, screenshot of two documents. One is the cover note, cover letter. So when you receive the peak circular, you also receive a letter on the name of the DNA of that country with certain information. It not only says that this so and so, peak circular is attached, is there, but also provides some highlights that have happened during those 6 months that may contain the information on CRC meeting if that had happened during those 6 months. And then, the whole year because we have a CRC meeting usually during the September, October, and that is covered in this big circular. So what chemicals were discussed, what meeting was held, and what were the recommendations. That information is available in this cover note. And also the compliance committee meetings. If there were any compliance committee meeting held and what was the outcome of those compliance committee meeting, that also is summarized. That information is also provided in this cover note. And also the date, when the decision guidance document was dispatched upon listing of the new chemical in by the COP. So if there is any such information that is also provided in this cover note and also on the upcoming COPs or the COPs that are just held, that information is also provided in the cover note. So cover note essentially, on the chemical itself, we already saw Alec made a very detailed presentation on what information are available in the peak circular in different appendices and also Javier showed that what informations they even including peak circular where they are available in the website. Also, besides those information, some highlights are also provided in the cover note, this cover letter. And these cover letters are also in languages, not only in English, but also in three languages. And along with the cover note, and PIC circular, there is one more document that is sent, which is DNA registered. And this DNA register is updated every time. Just before sending it to the parties along with the PIC circular, the DNA database is updated because there are changes. Many things happen in the countries and the changes are reported and we have updated it. And these updated DNA registers always accompany with the PIC circular. And now you can see how it looks there. So this is in nutshell. This is what goes out along with the peak circular. Next slide, Alec. And in conclusion, the peak circular is the most comprehensive implementation document of the Rotterdam Convention produced by the Secretariat. And by now you already have the sense, what we have in the peak circular, virtually everything relating to the implementation of the Rotterdam Convention. And peak circular is also the central element of clearinghouse mechanism under the convention. And Xavier just informed us and went through the PIC DMA database. So this is the part of the clearinghouse mechanism of a major part is the PIC DMA, RC PIC DMA, but then PIC circular is based on, all these information are in PIC DMA and are produced in the PIC circular. And this is very important part in the peak circular as Alec already presented about the Appendix 6 and Appendix 5, especially Appendix 5, which says, what final regulatory action the Secretariat has received, not only today or these after the convention was came into force, but even before the historical documents, all those documents submitted by parties are listed there, and you can already see that what FRA we received from which country, and whether or not those FRAs meet the Annex 1 requirement or not, and whether or not those FRAs uh, listed went to the Appendix 3. So all the information, all this database are available in the PIC circular. So this is, every 6 months it gets, but you have all the information there, right from beginning until that date. So this is all about the PIC circular, and thank you very much for your participation. And we are very encouraged to organize such a webinar again in the future. And I thank you for your support, and we would like to hear from you any feedback based on your experience so that we could improve our presentations, our the presentation of data. So it's for you to tell us. So with this, I thank you and I conclude my presentation. And now Javier will do the polls and the Q&A. So any questions, please, you can ask us if anything you need. You
Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Suman. And now,
thank you.
yes, we are running out of time, and we are gonna launch a poll. Contains not many questions. So this poll is you have 2 minutes to reply, and it's to open the Q&A section. And also seeing that somebody's raising the hand, and we are gonna give the floor. Mhm. So we give only 2 minutes, please. Yeah, sorry, 4 minutes. Yes, the first question is, are you receiving regularly the PIC circular? Is the structure clear and understandable? Yes or no? If not, what would you change in the way the information is presented? And which part of the PIC circular contains information you are usually looking at most? And the last, do you share information contain the PIC circular with the other national stakeholders? And if yes, which information? And please also indicate the national stakeholders. Thank you.
In the meantime, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box or raise your hand and ask any question that is related to the presentation, or you would want some clarification from the side of the Secretariat, etc. So we are here for you.
So I'm seeing one hand, Amos Chaya. So please, can you talk, please, and say your comment or question?
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is. I have a question and clarification. I work in the Rotterdam Convention here in Nigeria, and thank you for this presentation. We are able to see some useful information information that assist our work. So we notice we receive export notification from EU here in Nigeria based on the chemicals that we have taken national decisions, final regulatory actions, and we have communicated our import response to the Secretariat. But we notice a lot of chemicals comes from India and China. Internally, we have taken national decisions and we have communicated such. But we notice a lot of chemicals from China and India come to
We don't hear you.
Yeah, there were some interruptions. We were not able to hear the second part of the question. Carlos, yeah, thank you for your question. I mean, from what we were able to hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now yes, we can hear you now. Yes. Yeah, please go ahead. There was part that basically we were not able to hear. But let me try to respond to reflect on what I was able to understand, because basically you mentioned that you are receiving a lot of export notifications from EU. That was the first part I heard. And the export notifications are very important provision of the convention text under Article 12. Those are referring to the chemicals that have been banned or restricted in the exporting party due to human health or environmental concerns. They're still being manufactured by their industry there, but they're being exported in other third parties. And under this provision of Article 12, yes, exporting parties are obliged to submit so-called export notification. The importing parties are basically obliged to submit so-called acknowledgement of receipt under the convention text. With this, basically the information exchange element of the convention that the country or the party will receive certain hazardous chemical that is banned or restricted somewhere. I mean, in the exporting party is being received on the importing side, and with that knowledge, they might decide to potentially manage that chemical in a certain way, a part of the provisions of the convention text. I mean, this is the wider context of Article 12. Then the other part of your question or your comment is I understood that you also receive a lot of chemicals or a lot of export notifications from India and China. So I hope that those exports are in line with Article 12 provisions, and that you're basically fulfilling the obligations of Article 12 in terms of submitting so-called acknowledgement for the first time export notification submitted by the exporting party in the calendar year. Yes, I mean, this is how much I was able to understand, and this is my comment or an effort to provide a response to the part of the question that was posted by the DNA or a delegate from Djibouti. So, someone, if you want to compliment me, please go ahead.
No, actually, yeah, you already clarified that maybe since he could not complete his question or we couldn't hear it, maybe he was saying that we receive the export or import in Nigeria of the chemicals from India and China, but we received the export notification from EU. If that was the question, then you kind of answered because you know export notification is sent when they are banned in their countries, but are exported to the country who wants to export it. That's why you know in EU there are many chemicals are banned or are severely restricted to use in the country. That's why they probably send you the export notification. And those coming from India and China, probably they are based on the import responses, positive import responses that you have provided, consent to import, and been published in the PIC circular. In it's available in the website. That's why they are you know you are receiving the import from these China and India. If that was what you were your question was, but you know since we couldn't hear what exactly you wanted to ask, I hope this answers. Thank you, Alec. I think it's done. But do we see any chat, anything from Amos from Nigeria? No. So
So I have seen two hands raised, Amos and Amadou. So first, Amos, you want to do a comment again? Okay, seems that it was the old hand. And now, Amadou, you have also the hand raised. You have a comment or questions? Please, go ahead.
Oh,
Yes.
so thank you. Sorry, I had network interruption, so it disturbed my conclusion of the question and then the clarification. Um, so we have taken a lot of national decisions, final regulatory actions on chemicals, and we have communicated our decisions to the Secretariat of the Rotterdam Convention. So I want to ask, based on this, the chemicals we have taken national decisions, we are supposed to receive export notification for all these chemicals coming into the country. We receive from EU very well, but China and India, we don't receive. So I want to ask, since we have all the DNAs as the responsible parties for this notification, exchange information between one country to another, why is this happening? Also to ask, are they themselves, China and India, receiving chemicals without having export notification in their countries? Because we see this as a very big gap. A lot of chemicals come from India and China, but no export notification, even though we have taken national decisions. Is it happening the same thing in their own countries? Thank you very much.
Okay, let me try to clarify because now I think I understand your question. So you basically provided comparison between what EU is doing and what China and India are not doing in terms of submitting export notifications in line with Article 12 of the Convention. So I want to repeat and to clarify. EU is obliged to submit in accordance to their ECA, EU, EC, PIC procedure, but also under Article 12 of the Convention to submit those export notifications to, in this case, Nigeria, because they have banned or restricted those chemicals at national level. But they're still manufacturing them and exporting them in third parties, in this case, Nigeria. But in case China and India have not undertaken such decisions at national level to ban or restrict those chemicals, they are not obliged under Article 12 to submit an export notification, in this case to Nigeria, when exporting those chemicals. Because simply, most likely, potentially, they have not been banned or restricted in those countries. We as a secretariat, we do not have a mechanism to check whether that's the case or not the case. That's something Nigeria can basically conclude or investigate if the chemicals exports or those chemicals that are meant for export from China and India are banned or restricted in China and India per se, and whether therefore they are fulfilling the obligations of Article 12. I mean, the convention text does not have a so-called punitive or punishment mechanism. So plus the secretariat role is not to investigate and to check these kind of matters. So this is fully under Nigeria responsibility to decide on those and your national legislation to decide on those exports, or in this case imports in your country, from the respective parties in this case, or countries in this case, India and China, and to seek for further clarification. So I hope with this I responded to your question. Yeah, to conclude, what EU is doing is very much correct, but that does not mean that what China and India are doing is not actually correct under Article 12. So, however, we do not have the full picture to understand from this side. That's something that you, at national level or on bilateral level, you can engage the DNAs of China and India, seek this information, check this information, and if needed, you can ask the Secretariat to facilitate this communication, and we will gladly help you. But so far, this is what I can respond on this matter, considering the information I received from your side. I hope that my response is satisfying your question, Amos. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alec. And now we have another hand raised. Amadou, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah. Yes. I'm the DNA for Rotterdam Convention for Cameroon. Thank you for organizing this webinar. We are facing the same problem with my colleague of Nigeria. We never receive a request for consent on the importation or the exportation of chemicals from China or India, and our market is fluid from those with chemicals from those two countries, and we don't know how to handle the problem. Thank you.
Well,
Hello?
thank you,
Yes.
thank you, Amadou, DNA of Cameroon, for your question. I understand your concern. However, legally, the Secretariat and the Convention in this point in time cannot do much about this information that you're providing, and the fact that, as you're saying, the market in Cameroon is overflooded with chemicals from both the respective parties, China and India. So that's within your intrinsic national law on and regulations to react upon the intended exports or imports, in this case in your country, by third parties, and to decide what you're gonna allow to enter or not to enter at your national territory and your markets, depending on your needs or potential consideration of risks regarding human health and environment. As I've said, the convention text is regulating exports from parties that have banned or restricted chemicals, but still continue to manufacture or produce those chemicals at national level and still export them in third parties according to Article 12. And Article 12 is basically regulating the communication between the exporting part and the importing parties in this case. If India and China are exporting those chemicals in Cameroon, but they are not banned, they are not obliged to submit export notification, as I already explained. What you can do to protect your party or your country or your market from potential harms of those chemicals.
What is it in the polyglot? Manjibu.
Is basically within your national decision-making process. Thank you very much for considering this response and of course any other concerns or reflections. Not to take too much time because this is more or less the same question posed by both DNAs from Nigeria and Cameroon. We can engage in a bilateral meeting, either online or maybe potentially at COP if you are coming to COP, and we can try to address your concerns. Thank you. Javier, I would propose to share the results of the poll, please.
Okay, thank you, Alec. Now you can see in the screen the results of the poll. The first question, are you receiving regularly the circular? 88% say yes, 13% say no. Is the structure clear and understandable? It seems that everybody understand the PIC circular. If not, what will you change if the way the information is presented? Let me see. There is nothing written there. And then the fourth question, which part of the appendices of the PIC circular contains information you are usually looking at most? Most of them said Appendix 3 that contains the chemicals include Annex 3. Then Appendix 1, compilation of notification of final regulatory action. And then we have Appendix 2, compilation of proposals concerning SHPS. And last, Appendix 4, import responses. And there is not answer about Appendix 5 and Appendix 6. And then last question, do you share information contained in the PIC circular with other national stakeholders? 50% say yes, and the other 50 say no. And if yes, which information, please indicate the national stakeholders. So we have here from Salvador the import responses received from parties they share with other ministries. Then there are other colleagues that share with customs. There is also academic institutions, research. More of them are government. So thank you so much for today's webinar. And I'm gonna stop sharing the results. And the recording is gonna be available, and we are gonna send by email also the presentation to all of you. So thank you so much.
Also, thanks from my side, from this side of the Secretariat, for your attention and for your attendance. We hope that myself and Suman, that have been working on the publication and production of the PIC circular for so many years, communicating with you, receiving all the information and sharing it and publishing it to the PIC circular with you and with the rest of the world, managed to inform you and get you closer to the content and the structure of the PIC circular, and yeah, in the same time respond to your questions. So I hope to see many of you at the upcoming COPs. As I've said, any questions, any doubts, any concerns, you will know where to find the Secretariat staff, and we will be able to help you. But of course, if not, you're always welcome to send us an email with any question or request for assistance or help or of any kind. With this, greetings from my side once more time, and I give the floor to say a couple of words to Suman, which actually will produce the last PIC circular 61 in June. After which he will go into a well-deserved retirement. And I want to publicly thank him to all the work and collaboration we have went through throughout the years, and the great experience I have had and learned from him a lot in this process. Suman, please say a couple of words. Thank you.
Suman, you are mute.
Thank you, Alec, and thank you very much to all the participants, attending this webinar. It had been a very, very good experience to me working with the parties on this very important work. And the work I had been doing in the secretariat, not only on the Rotterdam Convention PIC circular, but other things. I will treasure them forever, as he said that I'm leaving, very soon from the UN to my retirement. But this, let me come back to this particular session. It was very encouraging, and we would like to have this kind of webinar more often in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alec. Thank you, Javier, and thank you, DNAs and other participants. Thank you very much.